After my simple equation of understanding, a weird revelation came to me the next day. And I had been kind of contemplating whether or not I should actually be making this video. But I kind of was making up that equation from my mind, from my subconscious and from my mind. So there could be a more simple understanding of the duality of all with a simple self-created equation. And I went around and I went to my small library that I own, my secret knowledge, and I was going through this book and I found the most interesting quote that I'm going to share with you, and it has been revealed to me personally through circumstance. And it's been kind of weird that I made, and I have to correct myself, because even though the answer for my equation is 0, and 0 equates to infinity, that might not be the actual full equation. I got that kind of backwards, kind of like a mirrored from this into that, 0, -1, +1, or +1, -1, -1, 1, -1, +1, -1, 0. That might be slightly wrong, because it actually starts from 0. And it finalizes with 1. Because 0 is the full. It also is alpha et omega. So it might be start with 0 and add to 1. And the 1 is the magician. But it's a very simplistic and basic understanding that has been sort of revealed to me almost in a synchronistic way, and I would really, really like to share it. I would love to share it. This weird synchronicity, it came to me a day or two after reading, after making the video. I was reading a book, and it just sort of came to me, and it was sort of weird, because I was reading the book before I made the video, and then I continued reading it, and I saw some really, really weird, it was really weird and synchronistic. Let's dive into it. This is the book that I was reading, and it says right here, on page 17, it says, transferring the astronomical symbolism for the magical psychological process. We find that Chinese sages representing the formula of cyclic return by the equation of 0 equals 2, and that is 0 equals +1 plus -1. This formula represented biologically by the Congress of sexes, male and female. The positive element of the equation is will, and the Greek word for will, of course, is thelema, which was an ancient Egyptian religion. It is along with will, along with dynamic masculine, the negative element is love, which is agape. Passive feminine, their union is the basis of magical ecstasy that polarizes the active and passive components of existence, reducing them to 0, which is from the void, which is Nut or Nuit, the Egyptian god Nut. A new creation emerges, ready to begin the process again. And this just came to me when I was making, after I made the video, I was reading through that, and I found that equation, and figured out the whole story behind, and the full understanding of that equation. It is kind of shocking to me that my formula that I made up in my own head to define mathematically the terms of good and evil is the ancient equation of cyclic return of both sexes, male and female. So there is that aspect too. And this has been revealed to me almost by on purpose, purposefully revealed to me. There's the proof that there is no good and evil, because in ancient traditional King Solomon, the writings of King Solomon, yin represented male, and feminine represented yang. Yin and yang were male and female. So when it comes to that etymology, or that kind of mentality, there is no such thing as yin. And of course, there's no yin and yang in a good and evil sense. None at all. Instead, it is male and female, which equates to 0 equals 2, and 0, which is infinity. And ancient tha, and the original Greek word for will is tha, which, or tha, which the word thelema was adapted to, and thelema was the religion of the ancient mystics. And if you've done enough proper research, thelema eventually mentally transmutes into modern times as Wicca, which is like earth and loving, like a religion of earth and nature and love within and stuff like that. But it's really just cherry pickings from thelema, an older religion. And then you will understand that good and evil is completely perspective. Because if you study yin and yang, yin is the light and yang is the shadow. But every single tree, everything in nature casts its own shadow. And without the shadow, then it will. Without the shadow, there will be nothing. And without the something, without the object, there would be no shadow. This is a deep thing that everybody needs to fully understand before and be prepared for. Because newer philosophies and even movies based on the philosophies will prove that there's no good and evil, like Star Wars Episode 9. My idea is that they will root out all Jedi and all Sith and become a united force of both. So, and once you delve into nature, like the real nature of life without humanity, because humanity is a whole nother subject of whether or not it's worthy of being on this planet of existence, or to a higher or even lower. But when you think about it, once you go into nature, all your duality will be dissolved once you see that. Even trees have it, even man-made objects such as buildings and cars and trucks all have a shadow. And the ancient Egyptians believed their shadow was the most, represented their own strength. Their very essence of their being was possessed in their shadow. Not in their ka, not in their ba, not their heart, but their shadow. And that is something to think about. This consciousness has already formulated itself in certain individuals who are the earthly reflexes, the reflections upon the earth of those masters or secret chiefs, whose work entails administration of consciousness in the human phase, and is a particular segment of that phase wherein man may achieve full realization of his identity with the source of illumination. Typified by macrocosmically by the sun, the point within the circle, and macrocosmically by the phallus, which in turn typifies the kundalini, the serpentine or spiral force of creative consciousness. Men will become as gods, because the power of creation will be yielded by them through the direction of forces at present termed occult or hidden.